everybody, it's Seth Jones, editor-in-chief of Golfdom magazine, and welcome to another edition of Golfdom's Zoom Views. We had some major breaking news in the industry today, and I'm very grateful for the CEO of the GCSAA, Rhett Evans, to join me today. Rhett, thanks for taking the time and your willingness to jump on a call so fast after something like this happens. So how are you today?
You bet. I'm doing well, Seth. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thanks. I got to think that this is probably the most unusual day of your almost 10 years as CEO of the GCSAA, with the announcement this morning that you guys have decided to take the golf industry show, and the in-person event in Las Vegas will no longer be happening, but it will be a virtual show. What's it been like to wear your shoes today?
Yeah, no, it certainly, Seth, it was a big decision and a collaborative one with the board of directors and really, in consultation with, in essence, our members. We surveyed our members. We worked with our exhibitors and our partners. So it was I would say it was a collective decision. It was certainly the right thing to do given, the circumstances that we're dealing with, but it was not taken lightly, to your point. Probably one of the biggest decisions we've had to make. When you look back, we were going to celebrate, and we will celebrate, our 95th anniversary of the association in 2021. And the show, when you look back over its 90-plus year history, we've only foregone the show during World War II. And, here we sit with a global pandemic, that really has affected the world. And, we had to adapt. And I think that we've got a great plan moving forward to keep the show going and delivering education and content and connecting people, but it will definitely be different.
Yeah, absolutely. Rhett, I think you guys did a nice job. You put a lot of information out there all at once this morning. Clearly, it was a lot of people working at GCSA to get the message out and answer a lot of questions. The survey that you guys did, I'm curious. I took the survey. You sent it out. It was just you basically, it was pretty short and sweet. How could you go? Right. Would you attend? How likely were you to attend a virtual show if there was no show? Can you give me any insight onto how that survey came back? Just, I'm wondering, was it just landslide right away? Because I think also that maybe were you going to do another survey as well, and it just didn't need to at that point, or what happened there?
Yeah, no, that's a fair question, because we did on the onset and early on, we thought that, people are going to be undecisive, with all the uncertainty, and we wanted to give, time, for things to change. And so we had decided early that we'd do a survey in August and then one in October. But to your first question, sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
To your first question, the survey was conclusive. We had roughly 2/3 of our members, 2/3, you can kind of go through the list of others that we surveyed, whether it was exhibitors, et cetera, that, simply felt that it's not in the best interest to do a physical show in late January, February. And so when you look at 66% of attendees having some discomfort in traveling, getting on a plane, being in large gatherings and settings, that was conclusive. And we felt like, given everything else, that it was time to be decisive and to make a decision and to really shift to this virtual platform. Okay,
understood. You mentioned in the release that you guys were keeping an eye on other shows, which I think everyone's been doing that. It seems like we're taking a blow every day. And trust me, we're heartbroken that this event's canceled, because we love the event as well here at Golfdom.
Right.
You mentioned, the BTME show just canceled recently. And then you mentioned GIE Expo, which has a lot of crossover between, in terms of especially your exhibitors. But I'd like to ask the same difficult question I asked Chris Kaiser, who's the CEO of the Outdoor Power Equipment Institute, who hosts the GIE Expo. He told me that they're not necessarily insured on something like a pandemic, which is just the case. They're insured for other things. I'd like to ask you the same question, Rhett. Is it something that you guys are insured on to not have a show? And if not, what does that mean to the GCSAA?
Yeah. When you put these contracts together, they're obviously complicated because they're multi-year in some cases, and you've got hotel contracts that are separate and different from the convention center's contract. But, I don't think many event planners such as GIE and GCSAA, and you go down the list, put a global pandemic in their rider. We've all dealt with hurricanes, we've all dealt with floods, we've dealt with tornadoes, and those typical natural disasters, were covered. They're part of the contract or part of the insurance rider, if you will. But when it comes to a global pandemic, no, that was not written in there. And so I think all of these shows, and if you look at the one in particular right before our show in Las Vegas, the Consumer Electronics Show, probably the Super Bowl of shows, 175,000 attendees who are going to be right before us. With them canceling, we're confident that when you look at the factors that go into those decisions to cancel, that the hotels, the industry as a whole will really look at this thing holistically and say, you know what, we want your business back. Let's work with you. Let's figure out how we can get you back into Las Vegas. And we realize this is something that was totally out of your control. So, we're going to work with them. We're confident, Seth, that, we're going to be able to mitigate, those liabilities. But to answer your question directly, no, it was not in the insurance rider.
Absolutely. And it's like you said, there's a lot of things that come into consideration. Who would have considered 2020 to be the year of the pandemic? Rhett, not to you touched on it a little bit, but and I don't want to sound like a degenerate gambler here, but Las Vegas, I was so excited for it. 2022 now, are we looking back at Las Vegas, or is it on to San Diego? Have we crossed that bridge yet?
Yeah, and as I mentioned, we've got multi-year contracts, and we've had a fairly a consistent rotation with San Diego and with Orlando being the bookends, and then rotating, that middle year with the Las Vegas or, San Antonio, et cetera. So Seth, the 2022 show, which is scheduled in San Diego, is still a go. We're going to have to continue on with that rotation, but we've already been in discussions, as we've tried to navigate this decision to see when we could get back to Las Vegas, because we think it's a great city and we want to get it back in the rotation as soon as we can. And that would go along with the tournament, right? We had this tournament scheduled to be played in Palm Springs, and it was overwhelming. There was overwhelming excitement when we made that announcement that we were going to Palm Springs, and then to not have it there this year. That's something else that we want to try to figure out how we can get back to Palm Springs for the golf tournament as soon as possible.
Okay, great. Well, we've been trying to react to the news. You guys announced that something was coming this morning, and so I've talked to your members, in somebody in Florida, somebody in Oklahoma, somebody in California, and everyone said that they're interested to see what you guys are going to do in terms of a virtual show and what that would be like. Can you give me any teasers? What some things that you find? Have you looked at some of the what this will look like, and what can we expect for like what you guys might be able to pull out of your hat here?
Right. Yeah. And that was really something, Seth, that we wanted to have buttoned up before we made the decision, so that we knew that when we shifted from a physical event, that we had something that would be able to deliver our world-class education, that would be able to provide a platform for our 550 plus exhibitors to show their new products and interact with their customers. We wanted to make sure that, the superintendents, the equipment managers, the Seth Jones of the world had an opportunity to connect and interact with one another. Those are the primary focuses of the show and why we do it. And so I'm happy to say that, yes, we've solidified and firmed up a platform that we think is going to be able to deliver on all of those components. A virtual trade show that will be very interactive, certainly education, where we'll have concurrent education going on at the same time, a wide variety of that will be on this virtual platform. And then, figuring out and doing some things with some networking. And the last thing I'll say that I think is important for all of us as we're navigating this new space and trying to live in this virtual world, that, there's still opportunities to do special events. And take the 5K for an example. It's something that's important to me, health and wellness. And, we do that every year, and it's been growing. And I thought, oh man, we're not going to be there together to run in a 5K, and will we lose the momentum? And then when you see, the Boston Marathon, the largest marathon in the world, going virtual this year, that, we can figure out how to do a little 5K at the GIS, and we're going to do it. And, I think it's going to be cool to see superintendents and their families and members in their community all running at the same time on one morning and FaceTiming each other when they're done and sharing their times. And so it's just going to be a new way to do things as we navigate the pandemic. But I'm excited about it, and I appreciate everyone's support and willingness to really take part. And all of our industry partners so far have been on board with the decision, and we're excited about what we can produce on this platform.
Okay, fantastic. Well, Rhett, we look forward to seeing what it is that you guys. I'm sure you guys have made a lot of choices and a lot of decisions and looked at a lot of things. So we're looking forward to see what it is that we can see in February. And again, I appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today, and what's been a really big day for you guys at the association.
You got it. Thanks, Seth. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Everybody, this is Rhett Evans, the CEO at GCSAA. I'm Seth Jones, editor-in-chief of Golfdom Magazine. Thanks for checking in with us here on Golfdom's Zoom Views.